Hello, all of you beautiful people out there, and welcome back to another episode of the Just Saying podcast. I'm Jairus, and as always, to my right, I am joined by
Shay.
That's right. And he got to see his team win the Super Bowl this year. Let's go, Eagles. But we will get all to that in a minute. But real quick, we just want to kind of talk about what's been going on over the last couple weeks, mostly involving Shay.
Unfortunately.
So, Shay, you want to do some explaining as to why you've been absent?
Yeah, I mean, flat tires and two of them actually, not one, two flat tires, and then the flu just destroyed my staff at my work, and I had to work 12 straight days, 60 hours in 1 week, with the Super Bowl right in the middle of that. So it was not a good time to record the podcasts, unfortunately, because I was exhausted.
You might have been exhausted. Your mental fortitude might have been shattered, but you're getting money. And that's the most important thing in American society. But yeah, a lot has happened. I'm not going to sit here and apologize because, like we've said before, this is a hobby. We obviously love recording the podcast. We love making the content for anyone that views our content. Thank you so much, and thank you for always sticking with us.
Exactly.
But the reality is, we both have jobs. We both have lives outside of the podcast, and things come up. But hopefully, we will be able to make consistent content going forward. Just some real quick upcoming dates. I will be on vacation, actually looking for a new place to live
Whoa.
in a couple weeks.
Not in Florida. Not in Florida.
Yeah, that's right. Starting February 24th, I will be out until March 5th. So that unfortunately means there'll be another 2 week break from the podcast because I don't get back until Wednesday. So the next podcast is slated for March 11th. This will be the last podcast before then. But we are recording a video tomorrow. Which is long overdue. It's going to be kind of just a whole recap of each team's regular season in the form of a tier list. We will be grading every team's regular season with a letter grade from A through F. So look out for that. That will be out next week around when the podcast starts. So after I get back, we'll have a few weeks of doing the podcast, and then we will be going on another vacation to Buffalo in April.
Buffalo, New York. Hopefully we don't get snowed because that would not be good.
And I don't have to say sorry, Jake, this time because that's who we're going to be seeing. So can't wait to see you, Jake.
That's right.
Unfortunately, the Bills did not make it to the Super Bowl, but we are going to be able to make it to Buffalo.
And see 2 hockey games.
That's right. And get to see the Bills Stadium and where they're building the new stadium and have a Buffalo wing where it all began.
Where it was conceived.
That's right. So hopefully after that, then we will have episodes out every week. But yeah, I just want to give you guys that quick update. If you guys have been, sticking with us, following all of our socials, watching the videos on YouTube, thank you so much. We really do appreciate it. And any newcomers that are listening, go ahead and give us a subscription on YouTube. It's absolutely free. And you get daily access to the podcast. And, just follow along with us through our content creation journey. And we're still very excited to see where this year takes us. But without further ado, I'm going to have Shay take it away because your Philadelphia Eagles are at the top of the mountain.
Fly, Eagles, fly. No copyright. Yeah, it feels really great. This is now my second team to win a championship since starting our podcast. Feels pretty great. Philly did burn down because it's Philly. It was going to burn, win or lose.
Literally turned into Gotham City overnight.
Yeah, but Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, Louisiana at the Caesar Superdome. A rematch from 2 years ago with the Kansas City Chiefs against the Philadelphia Eagles. And man, was it a different game. It was just knockout punch after knockout punch and haymakers after haymakers only from the Eagles. The Chiefs did nothing. Mahomes couldn't do anything. The defensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles just obliterated their O-line and got to Mahomes and sacked him multiple times, gave him really hard shots. He was not able to get the ball down the field, wasn't able to they didn't even cross halfway, like the 50-yard line in Eagles territory until the third quarter. They didn't get on the board until the third quarter. It was 34-0 at halftime, right? So it just absolute decimation. Our defense was so much better than it was 2 years ago, even though it was pretty good 2 years ago. But there were no sacks 2 years ago. And during the Chiefs parade, a lot of the Chiefs players had 0 sacks on their shirts. Man, did we make up for that. Not only that, congrats to birthday boy Cooper DeJean, won half of the exciting whites. Pick six on his birthday in the biggest game of his entire life, Super Bowl 59, on the current best quarterback in all of football, Patrick Mahomes. That's pretty fucking sweet as a birthday present, I would say. Oh, and you win the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts silenced all the doubters, silenced all the haters. He is Super Bowl MVP with an MVP-like performance, of course. The only one that didn't really do anything was Saquon, but that's okay. He didn't care. He won a Super Bowl. So thank you again, New York Giants, for Saquon, because it's just the gift that keeps on giving. AJ Brown.
After the game, I had put on Facebook that the Giants front office is just burning down the ground right now.
AJ Brown had a great game with a touchdown. Devontae Smith, it was just all in all a team effort, and we absolutely showed out. Halftime show was so. I think it was all right. Commercials were wild this year, absolutely wild.
Out of pocket, so just really weird.
So weird. But top 2 commercials: the Nike commercial pushing women's sports, and one that was really great. Oh, that was right. 3 commercials: the NFL's commercial wanting to make women's flag football a varsity sport nationwide. Awesome. And as soon as the Super Bowl ended and they went to commercial before the celebrations took place, Jordan Brand released their commercial about Jalen Hurts. And, was it fire.
Gave me chills, really.
So 40-22 was the final score. It was over at halftime, honestly, and then it was over at when it was 40-6. So Chiefs got some late touchdowns that didn't matter, and Eagles are world champions. Jalen Hurts finally has a Super Bowl ring. So does Saquon. Nick Sirianni, been to 2 Super Bowls in his first 4 years as a head coach, finally won one. He's due for an extension this offseason, and he's going to get paid as a head coach. Everyone wanted him fired early in the year, including myself. I was really questioning his leadership abilities and coaching abilities, but man, oh man, were we all wrong. So, Philadelphia Eagles, second Super Bowl title in franchise history, and I don't think we're going anywhere.
Yeah, just my take. Where this team was at the end of last season and how far they have come is just remarkable.
Mm-hmm.
They were on a 6 or 8 game losing streak to end the season, got knocked out in the wild card pretty handily by the Bucks,
Yep.
and Kelsey retired. You had guys that left, and even coming into the season, you had guys on the injured reserve.
Yeah.
They started 2-2. It was not looking great, and then they had the bye week,
Everything changed.
got to reset, and they won what, like 12
of the last 13. Yeah.
12 out, yeah. Just insane. And I find it very interesting because Jalen Hurts had a quote. He said, "The feeling of winning the Super Bowl will never compare to the feeling of losing a Super Bowl."
Yeah.
Which was just wow.
Deep.
That was deep. And his screensaver since losing the 2022 Super Bowl was the confetti of the Chiefs and him walking around kind of taking it all in, and
That's right.
like, wow, like I was that close.
That's right. It was
Throughout the entire game, Hurts did not celebrate too much. You didn't really see a lot of him celebrating, and I really think like that just speaks volumes to the leadership that he showed, and like it wasn't over till it was over. He did not underestimate his opponent
not
at
at all.
any point in the game.
No, not at all.
Even when they were up 34-0, just kept grinding, kept doing the job.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
A lot of people said that the game was shit because it was a blowout, and like they was like, man, this is terrible. I'm not a fan of either team. I was partially rooting for the Eagles because obviously you're an Eagles fan, and I thought it would be really cool to see your team win because you'd be happy. But even though it was a blowout, that was one of the most impressive, just dismantling of an elite opponent that I have ever seen.
Yeah, I agree.
In any game, in any sport. The Chiefs with the three-peat on the line and the opportunity to make history, not only to lose the game, but to lose like that.
Yeah.
Was just, I was dumbfounded.
Yeah.
I looked at you after halftime and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. And Saquon didn't even have to rush, like you said, for 200 yards like he'd done the last 3 playoff games. Like,
yeah,
everyone was like, oh, how's the passing game going to do? The passing game's not there. Jalen Hurts is an okay quarterback, but he's not a quarterback that can win a Super Bowl. And man, did Jalen Hurts just shut everyone the fuck up.
Yeah, he really did.
There was a photo I saw on Facebook where he looked at the TV for the board that was picking the winners, and all of them picked the Chiefs. He's just sitting there like shaking his head. He's like, okay, yeah. I see. Nobody believes. Dude, just chills. I'm so glad he won.
Yeah.
I'm so glad he won championship. I'm so glad Saquon won the championship. And Saquon, like the same way, like he was celebrating, but like he never, like, he's not a diva. He always gives the credit to like the O-line and like the players around him.
Yeah.
I mean, really, Jalen told him, like, even though Saquon was telling Jalen on the sideline, like that's you, like, you did this. Jalen was like, no, like you were the missing piece.
Yeah.
Just such a fantastic like team effort, like you said. Everybody contributed. Zach Bond had an interception. A guy that was what, like an afterthought last season with the Saints.
Yeah, just a special teamer.
And Vic Fangio, man, genius to bring him in, change his position, and turn him into a Pro Bowler, Defensive Player of the Year finalist.
Yeah,
just incredible.
I can't. I mean, we can go for hours, obviously, about this. And we can't, but it's just pretty remarkable the turnaround that Howie Roseman and Jeffrey Lurie did with their team and Nick Sirianni, and I can't commend them enough. And it's AJ Brown came out after a couple days after the Super Bowl saying it wasn't what he thought it would be winning the Super Bowl. He was kind of like it was kind of lackluster because he just loves being in the moment in the game itself and putting on a show and trying to be the best he can absolutely be in the game during the game. And he said he's fucking ready to come back. So I really don't think we're going anywhere, people. I maybe we're the new dynasty.
Yeah, speaking of dynasties, this is the second time that the Eagles have prevented a three-peat.
That's right.
They won 2017 in between the Patriots' two Super Bowls, and they stopped the Kansas City Chiefs in their tracks.
Exactly.
Now, I also want to say the Chiefs, congrats to them. It was a valiant effort. They came as close as anybody to three-peating. Nobody before this point had reached the Super Bowl in a three-peat attempt. But yeah, there's a new champion in town.
That's right. For a whole year, you get to say that.
And Nick Sirianni is telling the entire NFL to ton his beanbag.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, just there's we could go for hours, like you said. Shout out to the Pat McAfee show for that.
Yep. Yeah.
Just awesome. Yeah. So it's not going to be easy. Title defense is never easy. The Eagles have a huge target on their back. Everybody knows now how good they are, and yeah, that's really all I have to say. Just such an impressive win, and one of the best defensive efforts in the Super Bowl we've ever seen.
Yeah.
Didn't even need a blitz.
No. We're our offensive core is locked up for at least the next 3 years with Jalen, Saquon, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith. Our O line is all locked up. Vic Fangio, defensive coordinator, unless he decides to retire, he's not going anywhere because he's said multiple times he does not want to be a head coach again. So our defense should still be right there. You know, we still have Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, two of the best young corners in all of football, I think. So we're not going anywhere, and that sucks for you, Dallas. That really does. But that is Super Bowl 59. The Birds, are Super Bowl champions again, and Philly is still burning, but it's okay.
But you know what that means too? It is officially the end of the NFL season.
That's right. Football is
it's over.
We have the UFL coming next month, but
which we're really excited for.
Yes, but it's still just not the NFL. So
no, exactly, nothing can be the NFL.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Eagles team is pretty much sticking around. One person that is moving on from the Eagles is offensive coordinator Kellen Moore, because he was hired as the new Saints head coach. So congratulations to him. I'm sure he will be missed.
Yeah.
But with Sirianni and Fangio and everybody else still around, whoever fills the position, I don't think it will be a huge problem.
Well, they just have a lot of support and talent, so they'll have a lot easier time than starting
probably
somewhere
the
else.
same like systems and all that. So with that, we thought it would be a really fun idea to go through some of our favorite moments from the regular season and the playoffs. Shay, where do you start? Obviously, the Eagles winning the championship's probably your favorite moment, but you got any others you want to throw out?
Besides that, my favorite moment was Saquon's backwards hurdle against the Jaguars. Sorry. But that was something that's never, ever been done before and no one's ever seen before, and it took over the internet.
It was literally added to Madden.
Yeah. Took over the internet. That was probably my favorite moment from the entire season. And I got to watch it live. So
yeah, that's a highlight that I haven't seen get that much like flash and traction since like Odell Beckham's famous one-handed catch.
Yeah,
that was crazy. One of my favorite moments, because it was just hilarious, was I think it was week 7 or 6. uh, with the Bears and the Commanders game, how the Bears player that was supposed to be guarding the receiver taunted the crowd during the play, and
Hail Mary. Yeah.
Jaden Daniels throws the Hail Mary, and it's caught. They called it the Miracle
Mm-hmm.
Miracle in Washington, and that started a
Their run
huge
to the
spiral.
playoffs.
Yeah, and a huge spiral for the Bears. So just that one moment really changed the paths of two franchises. It's incredible.
Yeah, I agree. Another moment that comes to mind was week the last week of the regular season watching Red Zone, and it was the Chiefs and the Broncos, and the Broncos defender Benito picked off, I think, Carson Wentz and took it all the way back to the house, and he grabbed his junk falling into the end zone, and Scott Hansen, the amazing Red Zone commentator, was like, "Oh, that's going to be a flag. You can't grab the Benitos there." That was pretty funny.
Awesome. Bengals, Joe Burrow. I mean, great season for him. Unfortunately, not for the team.
Yeah.
But I think there was the game against the Ravens on the road. He had that diving touchdown pass to T.
Yeah.
Higgins in the
Yeah.
end zone, which was great. Mahomes did that later, so he couldn't have him. He couldn't let him have that moment. He had to replicate it. And then the Jaguars, just Peterson and Balk are both out. That's probably my favorite moment of the season. Not really much else to take away
No.
in terms of best moments.
No.
Um, also Mike Evans getting over 1,000 receiving yards on
Yeah.
the very last play of the season was
Yeah.
pretty cool. He continues a streak of 11 consecutive seasons, tying Jerry Rice,
Mhm.
the legend. Think that's pretty much it. The Texans' defensive performance against the Chargers was pretty remarkable in the playoffs. That was one of the even though it was a lopsided game, I that was really cool to see. And like, yeah, they blocked an extra point, ran all the way back for two. I didn't even know you could do that,
Mhm.
so that was pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
No,
I don't have a good memory, so
to touch up from 2 weeks ago, the NFL awards did take place, and obviously the winners came out, and we all know that, but we're just gonna cover our bases here and go over the winners of the awards that we announced that were the finalists 2 weeks ago.
that's right. So starting off with Coach of the Year, Vikings Kevin O'Connell won the award. For Defensive Player, Broncos Patrick Surtain II won. Comeback Player of the Year, Joe Burrow of the Bengals. Saquon Barkley won Offensive Player of the Year. Jared Verse of the Rams won Defensive Rookie of the Year. Jaden Daniels won Offensive Rookie of the Year. And Josh Allen wins his first MVP over Lamar Jackson, which a lot of people thought was pretty controversial.
Yeah, Lamar had the better season statistically, and I mean, I certainly thought Lamar was going to win because he was even better than his MVP year the year prior. But I think voter fatigue played a part in it, and Josh did deserve MVP too. I'm not saying he didn't; he absolutely did. But I think voter fatigue probably played a little bit of a part in it, and Josh got a well-deserved, finally, MVP trophy.
Now I gotta say, with the stats, like you said, it's easy to think that like Lamar should have won. But if you watch the games, and we watch most of the games throughout the year, watching Josh Allen play on the Bills versus Lamar Jackson on the Ravens, Josh Allen literally did it all himself.
Pretty much.
I mean, Lamar obviously was great, like insane statistics. Like his touchdown to interception ratio was wild.
Mm-hmm.
He only had like 3 interceptions, but still had Derrick Henry. Now James Cook had a breakout year
He did.
as
He
the
did.
running back, yes. But you look at the receiving core that Allen had and some of his performances, like his 6 touchdown performance against the Rams, I think it was.
I don't remember.
Yeah, but in my opinion, the stats don't tell the entire story.
Not the entire story, no, but I still think voter fatigue played a part because Lamar's already won 2. So yeah, I listen. I'm so happy Josh won because he deserved it
Oh, me
the
too.
last like 3 years. So
He
I'm
really improved this year too.
yeah,
Really limited his turnovers.
yeah, exactly. So there's no one better or more deserving than Josh. I was just saying Lamar had a better year than he did last year when he won MVP. So
Oh, for sure.
I would think that'd be like,
I
yeah,
thought he was going to win it too.
that's MVP quality, and it is. He was second in the voting, but no, well deserved for Josh, obviously.
Yeah. So moving on, we don't have a lot of news because we were kind of using this episode as kind of a reset. So we weren't going to try to catch up on all the news, but some few interesting things that we thought were notable. The New York Jets have informed Aaron Rodgers that they will be going a different direction at quarterback, which I think is the right call.
Yeah, it's not really surprising. I mean, Aaron hasn't come out and said if he's going to play again or if he's retiring, so that's still up in the air, obviously. But I, if he does play, any team that needs a quarterback will absolutely sign him because the last half of the year, last half of the season last year, he looked like 30-year-old Aaron Rodgers. So he still has plenty left in the tank to play. But I think moving on from the Jets is the right decision. And if he decides to play, there will be another team for him.
Yeah, I think Aaron Rodgers proved this year that he can still be a very serviceable quarterback and is not bad by any stretch. I think at this point, though, in his career, just given his age, I don't think he's like the guy on a team to win another Super Bowl.
I don't know. He he had flashes of it still in his
He
arsenal
did.
last year,
He did.
but we'll
So
see if he wants
really, I mean,
to
really,
play.
I think it's his choice. Like you
Well,
said,
yeah,
there's so many teams that need a quarterback right now that I think if he wants to play again, he'll have no problem
yeah,
finding a
exactly.
job. Uh, for the Jaguars, they narrowed down their GM search to 5 candidates. I don't have the candidates listed because I don't really know who they are, but we're narrowing it down. Liam Cohen is our new head coach.
Still your coach. Still
Like,
gonna go 0-17.
um, but all the coaching staff set. It was funny too because he tried to interview some people on the Bucks, and the Bucks said, fuck off.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, 0-17. Anyways, moving on. Uh, the Bengals have a very critical free agency coming up. Like we said before, they have Higgins, who's a UFA. Jamar Chase's rookie contract expires next season. Trey Hendrickson's contract expires next season. They have a lot of work to do.
Yeah, you can expect Chase to be one of, if not the highest paid wide receiver after his career year last year, winning the Triple Crown that no one talked about, which is just insane. Trey Hendrickson having a career year himself, back to back amazing years. So you expect him to get up there with defensive end money, rivaling probably Nick Bosa. Uh, he'll probably be surpassed by Myles Garrett. Let's just be real. Once Myles Garrett signs a new deal, but it's regardless. And T. Higgins is a 1B on every other team, if not a 1A. So I don't know how the Bengals are going to finagle all this cap space and money around because I just don't see a situation where they keep all 3.
Yeah, if they keep all 3, you're not going to have money to fix the rest of the roster, like the defense,
Right.
which was so bad. Um, But Joe Burrow had some words on this on the Part of My Take podcast last week. He stated he is willing to restructure his contract and is confident that the team ownership can keep the gain around. So hopefully, I feel like if they really wanted to, they would have signed some guys by now. Just my personal opinion. But there is news that came out that the plan for them, for Higgins at least, is to franchise tag him again and try to work out a long term deal before the uh, deadline expires. And if not, they could trade him or they could have him play on the franchise tag again for next season, but he would not like that. And there's a possibility that he could just hold out the entire season.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I think they paid him like 21 some million this year. And now if they franchise tag him again, it goes up to like 28 million.
Yeah.
And then after that, he's a UFA.
Yeah, it would not
and
be
you
good.
lose him for nothing. So it's risky. See if it works out that way. If he does sign long term, hopefully the Bengals don't bungle the offseason. I'm just saying a prayer right now. Anyways, moving on for the NFL. We got some important dates coming up, even though the regular season and the playoffs are over, and it's very sad. We still got the offseason. We're still going to be updating you on any news that comes out for every team. So important dates to keep in mind, starting actually today through March 4th, is the franchise tag and transition players period. March 4th is the scouting combine. March 12th is the first day of free agency, and the NFL draft is April 24th through the 26th. I think the Jaguars have the 5th or 6th pick. The Bengals have the 17th overall pick, and the Eagles, since they won the Super Bowl, have the 32nd pick.
That's right.
So, yeah. And is it the Titans picking first overall?
Yes.
Yeah. So we'll be watching like film on the top 10 to prepare for that. So, look out for a video in the future for like our top 10 mock draft. We're not going to go through like every single player in the first round. Just not enough time, but definitely do a top 10 in the future. So look forward to that. But yeah, that does it for the NFL for right now. I know.
But it's okay. World champions.
That's right. For me, it's even more sad, even though my season's been over since January.
Well, yeah.
Moving on. Anyways, the end of the NFL season, but it's the start of a brand new NASCAR season.
That's right.
Let's fucking go.
That's right. The Daytona 500, my personal favorite race every year.
And really the only sport that has the biggest moment at the beginning.
That's what I was just going to say. NASCAR is the only sport that starts with their Super Bowl, not ends with it. So it was the 67th running of the Great American Race. Unfortunately, they only ran 11 laps, and then it was rain delayed for multiple hours, and ended up turning into a night race, which is great, prime time, but I do feel bad for the people that were out there, went to the race and then it rained. So, but regardless, it was another, I think, the 11th consecutive sold out Daytona 500, 110,000 people. 110,000 people.
If you don't know like NASCAR or anything, like all these racetracks, they're basically modern day coliseums.
Yeah.
Like they are huge, especially Daytona.
Yeah.
2.5 mile track, 33-degree bank. If you walk up the track, you're walking like uphill.
Yeah. Like I said, my personal favorite race. I can't wait for NASCAR 25, the video game, to come out later this year so I can race that all the time. But anyway, it was we did not get to watch the race because it was delayed, and then we went out to dinner with our mutual friend Emily. Shout out Emily. But we did watch the final 10 laps, which were exciting, as it always is with the restrictor plate races of Daytona and Talladega and now Atlanta. But as per usual, a wreck on the final lap because everyone's pushing and shoving to get to the front and, be the next Daytona 500 champion. But William Byron said, "Hold my beer. I'm going back to back." And he did. William Byron goes back to back for the first time since Denny Hamlin in 2019 and 2020. Is now a two-time Daytona 500 champion. Not many people are able to call themselves that, especially a back to back. Man, was I happy for him.
And in the Jeff Gordon throwback, axle to paint scheme.
Yeah, the flames. Oh, it was perfect.
It was awesome. Now, was it skill or was it luck? Maybe.
With Daytona, it's both.
Maybe. You do have to be in the right place at the right time. Hamlin, my personal favorite driver. I know I'm in the minority in that. It used to be Matt Kenseth, until he retired.
Yeah.
But, he had a chance. He was right behind Austin Cindric at second. He slingshots to the right. Almost gets in front, but then the 41, I don't know the name of the driver, the Haas car.
I think Cole Custer, maybe?
Yeah. Cole Custer. He tries to create the third row on the outside, and if you know anything about pack racing, one bump just causes a chain reaction.
Yeah.
And that's what happened, and Hamlin could not get clear. They all wreck. Byron sails right past.
Not only Byron, Tyler Reddick finished second, and seven-time himself, Jimmy Johnson, finished third.
Yeah. Congrats to him. That's a great finish. He's still got it.
Oh yeah, he still got it. But that's why I love Daytona and Talladega. Pack racing, there's just nothing else like it on the planet. 1 inch to the right or to the left, and it's a wreck. You have to be. These people call them not athletes. That they're not athletes. You have to be so laser focused for 3 hours to have no distractions in a 140-degree cockpit of a car. I'd say that's an athlete.
Experiencing G-force
Yeah.
constantly. You look at any other sport in football, baseball, hockey, basketball, these athletes, they have breaks that they can, maybe I don't know if relax is the right term because like they still have to pay attention, but like there's like moments where you don't have to do much of anything, or there's like
there's a halftime or
but
periods
in racing,
between. Yeah,
there is no room for margin of error.
No,
the turns you turn a degree to the right or left, or you let off the gas too early, you brake too hard, that can affect your lap time by a couple seconds. And in racing, a couple seconds, even half a second, means so much.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially at Daytona and Talladega, because you're going on the gas pretty much the entire time.
And if you lose that draft, you're done.
So
it's over. Yeah,
give credit to the drivers because I could never do anything like that. But I'm not an athlete, so that's why I'm recording a podcast right now.
Oh my God.
But anyways, there's obviously the big one at Daytona, and there was a couple big ones. The most notable one, Ryan Preece in the number 60 car goes airborne, and it was obviously scary. Always is. I've heard a lot of former drivers saying like when you're in the air like that, it goes silent.
Yeah.
Which is scary. And then when you hit, all you can do is just wait until you hit the ground again.
Yeah. This is his second time going airborne and rolling the car at Daytona. Actually, back-to-back years doing it. His interview afterwards was a little little scary. Took some shots at NASCAR, saying, I don't know if it's the diffuser on the Gen 7 car that caused it, but what, we're getting real close to someone losing their life or losing their career because of wrecks like this, and that's pretty scary to say.
Yeah, he talked about like how all he thought about was his family.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's these drivers, man. They risk their lives every time they step into the car.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, but after that too, Kyle Busch, as always, controversial figure, takes shots at another very controversial figure in racing, Joey Logano, the defending champion. Basically said that like the fastest car was the one to you know, get most of the wreck or something like that. Tried to find a gap that wasn't there.
Yeah,
Basically blamed him for like the
yeah,
entire wreck.
yeah.
Pretty
He's
much.
just saying Logano had the fastest car, and he was trying to fit into a hole that wasn't there, create space that wasn't there, and just cause the wreck. And Kyle Busch famously, has no filter and doesn't mind calling people out. So that's exactly what he did.
That's right. But very exciting finish. If you guys don't know anything about NASCAR rules, it's like the final two laps. If there's a wreck, then it goes to overtime. Right?
Uh,
And
it's
then
not necessarily the final two. Like the last wreck ended with 6 laps left, but because of the cleanup, it took so long. There were so many caution laps that it went to overtime. So it was longer than the mileage of the race, which is 500 miles. Yeah.
yeah. And then like the next flag wins like with the leader.
Yeah. So there's one full green flag lap. If there's a caution in that green flag lap, then it resets and we go to overtime again. But once the first driver crosses the finish line and with 1 lap to go and sees the white flag, no matter what, it is the next flag that ends the race. So if a caution comes out, that's it. Race is over.
Okay.
A lot of people thought, even me, thought there was going to be a caution on that last lap in turn 3 when the wreck took place that led to William Byron winning. But NASCAR, I think, made a good move and just let the leaders race to the finish, and that's what resulted in the victory for Willie B.
Yeah, so that's the start of the NASCAR season. The viewership numbers haven't came out yet, but a good sign might point to Thursday night as the duels on FS1. The viewership was up 12% from last year and the highest since 2018.
It's
So
good.
that's a good sign there. Next week is Atlanta Motor Speedway with the Ambetter Health 400. And we also got some driver picks and odds to discuss who's going to win the next NASCAR championship.
Yeah. So before we pick our favorites of who we want to see win, we'll just do the top 5 current odds thanks to Hard Rock Bet. Thanks, Hard Rock Casino.
By the way, we are not sponsored.
Not sponsored
by betting.
No. Kyle Larson is the current favorite, at least through Hard Rock, at plus 500 odds to win the NASCAR championship. Then it's Christopher Bell at plus 550, William Byron at plus 600, Denny Hamlin at plus 700, and Ryan Blaney also at plus 700. Notable, I know we said top 5, but 6th place is the defending champ, Joey Logano, at plus 900.
Yeah, so there you go. Is Denny Hamlin going to win his first ever championship? Probably not. But I'll still pick him to win because I hope he does. He's one of, I wouldn't say one of the greatest drivers, but if he doesn't win a championship, probably the greatest driver to never win a championship. But has been a fantastic racer through most of his career. So I do hope he wins a championship.
For me, Hendrick Motorsports has been the most dominant manufacturer and team the last 2 seasons, but they did not win the championship. I think that changes this year. Last year, I picked William Byron to win, especially after the Daytona 500 win, but I'm going to go with him again. He once again did get to the finals, but this time Joey Logano won. Team Penske won the finals, but I'm going with Willie B again, and my I'll just say close second will be Kyle Larson. I think Hendrick Motorsports is due. They're just the best team right now, and they have been the last couple years. So they just need to carry that into the playoffs.
Yeah, so there you go. There are picks. The start of NASCAR season has officially begun, and we are very excited to go racing.
Hell yeah. Turn left.
Exactly. But with that, we're going to go ahead and take our break. When we come back, we will be going over the NHL, the NBA, some PWHL, and then finish off with Marvel.
Fantastic.
Because we got some stuff to discuss. So yeah, if you took your Valentine's, by the way, out for Captain America Brave New World to watch, you might have been a little disappointed. But we will get to that.
And because we weren't here for Valentine's Day, I just want to say, we love you.
You are our Valentine.
That's right.
Viewers out there. So thank you. But we will be right back after the break.
Welcome back from the break. We're ready to be back. We were gone for 4 days.
There was a 4-day intermission between this podcast.
But it's okay. We're back now. And we're leading off with the National Basketball Association, which right now they are in the middle of their all-star break. It's awesome. It's so much fun to watch the all-star game.
But it's the perfect time to give a standings update because nobody's playing any games. So right now,
that's right.
Everybody's record standing tall
and not moving. That's right. So to lead off with the Eastern Conference, the Cleveland Cavaliers are still, just like they pretty much have been all year so far. They're still number one in the East at 44-10. The Celtics still right behind, 39-16. Then the Knicks, 36-18 and third. The Pacers are 30-23 and fourth. The Bucks are 29-24 and fifth. Detroit looking a lot better this year, actually in sixth place right now, 29-26. And the Magic, 27-29 and seventh. And the Atlanta Hawks are 26-29 and eighth. The Heat have been dropping like a rock since getting rid of Jimmy Butler, are in ninth right now, 25-28. And the Chicago Bulls are 22-33 in that final 10th spot for the play-in, with the Sixers actually starting to look better. They were a dumpster fire to start the year, but they have since turned things around and are right on the Bulls' heels. Moving on to the West, OKC still holds the number one spot in the West and actually are tied with the Cavs for the best record in the NBA at 44-10. Then it's the Grizzlies in second at 36-18. The Nuggets, 36-19 in third. The Rockets in fourth at 34-21. The Lakers at 32-20 in fifth. The Clippers at 31-23 in the sixth spot. Minnesota Timberwolves have fallen off a little bit. They're at 31-25 in seventh. Dallas has also fallen off since getting rid of somebody. Are 30-26 in the eighth spot. The Kings, 28-27 in ninth, and the Warriors have actually been sliding too at 28-27 in the final 10th spot. But again, break. No one's playing any games. Everything's frozen right now. New half of the season coming up.
That's right. And the Mavs have only dropped off because they traded some bum named Luka Doncic. I don't know if you've heard him. I certainly haven't.
No, not at all.
Nobody important. Yeah. But yeah, with the Heat, yeah, it's not looking good. At this point, I think we could miss the playoffs entirely.
Yeah.
So I could see us being a lottery team. Oh well. Not really much you could do when you have a disgruntled superstar.
Nope.
Speaking of that, I know you said the Golden State Warriors have fallen off. That might be true, but they are 3-1 in their last 4 games after acquiring Butler, while the Heat have not won a single game. They are 0-4.
That's right.
So yeah, not looking too good.
No.
Wiggins in his first few games, he's been solid. He hasn't been anything spectacular, I wouldn't think. Butler's been scoring more points, so I think in a tier of players like Butler is obviously still not like a superstar, but I think he's a star, like a tier below, and I think Wiggins is like a solid, good player.
Yeah.
So definitely a downgrade, in my opinion.
But the atmosphere is better.
Yeah,
Got rid
but
of
that
cancer.
locker room's probably, not wondering if the team's gonna absolutely fall apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh, so it was a trade that needed to happen. I think both sides still it's yet to be determined, but I think both sides did well in the trade, even though they'd have fallen off because they just had to get rid of them.
Yeah.
However, Luka made his debut with the Lakers. He's looked good. And the big piece that came from Los Angeles to Dallas, Anthony Davis, is out indefinitely for the Mavs with an adductor injury, which doesn't sound very pleasant.
No.
Uh, so yeah, this trade initial impressions right now, especially with Davis out with injury, is not looking good.
Not for the Mavs. It's looking great for the Lakers.
Yeah, and the Lakers, they had a so and so start this season, and now they're in fifth, so they are on the uprise. LeBron did not play in the All Star game. I don't know if he was injured or just dealing like with maintenance,
It,
but
it's
probably glad he didn't play at the All Star game
it's
because
the All-Star
it's
game.
just so terrible now.
That's what has been going on. As we said, the season is in the middle of its All-Star break with games coming back. I think either tonight or tomorrow. But it's just a shit show. It makes no sense. Nothing nothing good is coming out of it. Even the dunk contest, which McClung won for a third straight year from the Magic, jumping over a car, but that's been done before. The Even the dunk contest has just none of the like superstars that used to be in the dunk contests are in the dunk contests. Now it's mostly people that you just don't know. The this year for the team like skill competition, um Chris Paul and I forget who else like
Wembenyama.
yeah, tried to cheat their way to win. Like it's just a shit. Like just get rid of it.
It's a
Just
disaster. It's an absolute disaster. They had a new format. They had like three big names, like select teams. So Stephen Curry wins the Kia MVP on Shaq's OG's
yep.
team, which okay. And it was not even like a single game; it was a little tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell like, and I get it because you don't want to get injured because it just doesn't matter for the regular season. But I mean, come on, like they play no defense whatsoever. They just let players walk in.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just a flashy. It's not even a game. It's like a flashy skills competition.
Yeah, exactly.
With just minimal effort, and honestly, it's a fucking embarrassment.
Yeah, as we talked about last week, all the All-Star games suck now except for baseball. Like that's the only one
The
that
home run derby.
is still great to watch. Even obviously the home run derby, that's always exciting. But even the All-Star game itself for baseball is exciting to watch. And though I don't agree with it, there's still something to play for because the winner of the All-Star game, whichever conference, they get home field advantage in the World Series, which I don't agree with that rule, but that's what happens. And all the stars come out and they want to fucking play and get home field advantage. So the rest of the leagues, the Pro Bowl sucks. The NHL All Star Game, last year sucked. The NBA All Star Game sucks. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, at least for the NHL, the All-Star game actually started out as like a charity game.
Mm-hmm.
Famously, actually, because of the Boston Bruins. One of their players, Eddie Shore, hit Toronto player, forgot his name, and injured him. So they actually had the All-Star game to raise money, and that's how the All-Star game was born.
That's a very nice thing.
You can thank the Boston Bruins for the All-Star.
Not the current version of it, no.
No, now it's just such a gimmicky.
Yeah.
Especially the one in Florida a couple years ago. Like they tried to mesh like golf with the skills competition for hockey because it was in Florida and it was like water and swimming. Like, oh my god!
Thankfully, this year there was
terrible.
no NHL All-Star game, which we will get to in our next segment. But sticking with basketball, it's just ugly, and it does.
Even the stars agree that some needs to change. Like they did not like the new format at all.
No, it makes the league look bad.
Yeah, it's just terrible. I mean, there's really nothing else to say. Even in football, it's flag football now, glorified. What Pop Warner game? They're not. Yeah, not
no
even
one's
that. Like,
no one's
there's not even
trying.
any tackling.
It's gonna be different. Like in the 2028 Olympics, since they added flag football as a sport, like they're actually going to be trying to play the game to win a gold medal. Whereas this, like I understand it's a Pro Bowl, the season's over except for the two teams that are in the Super Bowl, but nobody's trying out there. There's just no effort, zero effort.
Yeah, and it's funny too because like the announcers for like the All-Star games and the Pro Bowl, they'll try to like prop it up so much. Like I don't think they enjoy watching it either.
Like they have a tough job too, but because I agree, I don't think they enjoyed what's going on, but it's their job to literally do it.
Trying to like hype it up.
But oh god, yeah.
Yeah. So anyways, that's a conversation that's been out there for years now.
Yeah.
But moving on from that, some kind of awards, front runners for the NBA. Shai Gilgis.
Nope. Shai Gildress
Alexander. Okay. SGA.
Yes.
The easier version from Oklahoma City Thunder leads the NBA MVP race. He's the front runner for the odds, not sponsored. Nikola Jokic is second, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Nope. Antetokounmpo.
Nope.
Is third. I knew that'd be funny. So those are the three front runners for the NBA MVP. Victor Wembanyama, the Spurs, is the front runner for Defensive Player of the Year. No surprise there. Peyton Pritchard is the leader for the Sixth Man of the Year for the Celtics. And Stephen Castle for the Spurs is the leader for the Rookie of the Year award.
Sweet.
So Peyton Pritchard. Star.
He's having a great year off the bench and is really, really, really improved after not getting much playing time last year. So it's definitely well deserved so far.
Antetokounmpo.
No.
Anyways, moving on. I really need to start looking up how to pronounce names before we start this podcast. But we're going to move on. Not much for the PWHL, the Women's Hockey League, but we're going to do the standings because we haven't done them in a while, and they've really changed.
Mm-hmm.
So the Montreal Victoire still lead the league like they've been doing for almost most of the season. They have 34 points, and for Women's Hockey League, remember, it's a 3-2-1 0-point system. So they have 9 wins, 3 overtime wins, 1 overtime loss, and 2 regulation losses for 34 points, leading the league, as I said. The Boston Fleet, after a very bad start, they're in second now.
They've really turned it around.
They have turned it around.
They've turned that Fleet around.
Oh, yeah. That's right. It was heading right for The rocks, the shore was
No.
about to be torn up, but they turned it around.
That's right.
6 wins, 3 overtime wins, 2 overtime losses, and 6 regulation losses for 26 points. The Toronto Scepters are tied with 26 points, 6 wins, 2 overtime wins, 4 overtime losses, and 6 regulation losses. The Minnesota Frost have really struggled lately. The title defense is looking kind of shaky right now, but they currently hold that last playoff spot. Since there's only 6 teams, 4 out of the 6 make the playoffs.
Yeah.
But they are in a 3-way tie right now for second with Boston and Toronto, with a record of 5, 4, 3, and 6. The Ottawa Charge are fifth with 21 points, so drops off after that with a 6, 0, 3, and 8 record. And the New York Sirens have 20 points with a record of 4, 3, 2, and 8. So there you go. So the Sirens had the number 1 overall pick last year and may be looking at another number 1 overall pick this year.
Maybe.
So yeah, there's your PWHL standings updates. Haven't really been able to watch much of the games this season. Just been busy. But come playoff time, we will be paying attention.
Agreed.
So it was a fantastic playoffs last year.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited this year. But moving on to the men's side, the NHL, because it's women's first, always. We have the NHL standings update for you. Let me pull that up real quick.
Can you believe we don't have any Valentines? And we're women first. Come on. We're so. What's the word?
We're so gentlemanly.
Yep.
Sure. Polite.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. Antetokounmpo.
Nope.
Shy Gilgis.
Nope.
Okay. I'll try again later. For the NHL standings update and playoff picture, for the Eastern Conference in the Atlantic Division, Florida holds the number 1 spot with a record of 34, 20, and 3 for 71 points. Toronto, record of 33, 20, and 2 for 68 points, is second. And third, the Tampa Bay Lightning, 31, 20, and 4 for 66 points. And for the Lightning, the last 4 games before the break, they had 4 division rivals, twice with the Ottawa Senators, and they won all 4 games. And I thought that was the best stretch we had all season. So really solidified our spot in that third place. For the Metro, the top 3 teams are the Washington Capitals, who've probably been the biggest surprise this season with the record of 36, 11, and 8 for 80 points. Currently lead the East by 10 points. So they are pretty much a lock to finish first in the Eastern Conference. Second is the Carolina Hurricanes with a record of 33, 19, and 4 for 70 points. And third, the New Jersey Devils with 31, 20, and 6 record for 68 points. And the wild card are currently held by 2 Atlantic teams. So right now there's 5 Atlantic teams and 3 Metro teams. The Ottawa Senators with a record of 29, 23, and 4 for 62 points. And the Detroit Red Wings with a record of 28, 22, and 5 for 61 points. But there are many, many teams that are still in the running. Columbus, Boston, New York, the Rangers, and the New York Islanders are all only 4 points apart from all those teams.
Yeah, still very close.
So very, very close. So it's going to be a pretty interesting race down the stretch. Moving on to the Western Conference for the Central Division, the top 3 spots. Leading the Western Conference is the Winnipeg Jets with a record of 39, 14, and 3 for 81 points. So they are the President's Trophy front runners.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dallas Stars, record of 35, 18, and 2 for 72 points in second. And third, the Minnesota Wild with a record of 33, 19, and 4 for 70 points. The Pacific Division, the Edmonton Oilers lead the division with a record of 34, 17, and 4 for 72 points. Vegas is tied, but Edmonton holds tiebreaker. So they're second in the division with the record of 33-17-6. And third is the LA Kings with a record of 29-17-7 for 65 points. And your wild card teams, the Colorado Avalanche with a record of 33-22-2 for 68 points. And Vancouver has clawed back into that last playoff spot with the record of 26-18-11 for 63 points. And in the West, it's kind of more set. Really, the only team that's still in the running is Calgary, who are only 3 points back.
But we're in the middle of a break, Jairus. But it's not an All-Star break, is it?
No, it is not. It is far and away from an All-Star game
Yeah.
because international hockey is back after 9 long years since 2016 with the Olympics or the World Cup.
Yeah.
The World Cup of Hockey in 2016, international hockey is back. The NHL put on the Four Nations face-off, and it has been a resounding success. I was one of the people that had my doubts, that I was like, too. I don't think the players are going to be playing that physical. It's just going to be another glorified all-star game. This is just a way for the NHL to get clicks. It has been far, far from an all-star game.
Yeah.
I really do believe now when a team puts on their nation's jersey, that national pride really shows. And not to get political, but the recent geopolitical atmosphere could be playing a part in that.
Could be.
Yeah, 4.4 million people tuned in during the USA versus Canada game, the first one. Most watched hockey telecast in the U.S. outside the Stanley Cup final since 2019.
Sheesh.
Which is big.
Damn.
To recap the games, the USA won 3-1 against Canada, the big game, with 3 fights in the first 9 seconds of the game.
Hell yeah.
So, I forgot the fights again.
It was
Brandon Hagel and Matthew Tkachuk first went at it. Then it was Brady Tkachuk and
I don't remember them either. I just remember the first.
I know
one.
The last one was Colton Parayko and JT Miller. And then it was Brady Tkachuk. I can't remember. But they were all fantastic tilts. Great game.
Yeah.
Great game. I
was great.
Watched the entire game. USA put on a defensive clinic after going up 2-1. Fantastic. Finland was eliminated after a 6-1 loss to the USA and a 5-3 loss to Canada. They had 2 games of round robin, so whoever had the most points would move on to the finals. So they were eliminated first. Sweden lost 4-3 in overtime against Canada. That was the first game of the tournament, but they beat the U.S. 2-1 in the second game. Unfortunately, because Canada won 5-3 against Finland, they were already eliminated, so it didn't matter. But it was still a great game. Both teams still played hard. That means the USA and Canada will be in the finals in a rematch Thursday at 8 p.m.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be fantastic. That will be played in Boston, too.
Yes, it will.
And I did not know this, but Charlie McAvoy is the son-in-law of Sullivan, Penguins head coach.
I did not know that either.
Did not know that.
But he's also hurt.
That's right. He's got an infection, so he's very doubtful to play. Quinn Hughes might be ready to go, but I was told, Elliot Friedman, that there needs to be another injury on the blue line for him to be eligible to come in. So we'll see. Charlie McAvoy is obviously a huge loss, but the USA team is stacked from top to bottom. They have the best goaltender in the league in Connor Hellebuck, who's stopped like 48 out of his last 50 shots faced. Like just incredible. So I can't wait to watch that game. And with that, the NHL announced too, with the IIHF that the World Cup will be returning in 2028, and they will be back to alternating between the Olympics and the World Cup every 2 years.
And I think that's best for business.
Yeah, and I know why. I understand why, but it is very unfortunate that Russia is not in these tournaments.
Yeah.
Because that Russian team would be absolutely stacked, especially in net. Vasilevsky, Shesterkin, Bobrovsky.
Yeah.
You could throw Sorokin in there. Some of the best goaltenders in the league. That's just disgusting.
It would be.
Ovechkin, Kucherov, Kaprizov. But we all know why. They won't be there. So yeah, other than that, there's also the awards for the NHL. So we'll go through them real quick. Leon Draisaitl of the Oilers, Nathan MacKinnon of the Avalanche, and Connor Hellebuyck for the Jets are your top three for MVP. Draisaitl is out front for the Rocket, which is the player that scores the most goals. Nathan MacKinnon is out front for the Art Ross, who's the player that scores the most points. Macklin Celebrini for the San Jose Sharks is the favorite for the Calder, which is the Rookie of the Year award. Connor Hellebuyck for Best Goaltender, which is the Vezina, is the front runner. And Cale Makar is the front runner for the Norris, which is named for the NHL's Best Defenseman. So there you go.
There we go.
There we go. Moving on. On Antetokounmpo. No.
Antetokounmpo.
Antetokounmpo. I'll get it eventually. Anyway, thank you for listening so much up to this point. It's been kind of a long one, but we got one final thing to talk about, and that is Marvel.
Two things specifically, and we talked about it 2 weeks ago and said we would absolutely discuss it, and that is the Fantastic Four trailer.
Oh, I remembered the fight. It was Brady Tkachuk and Sam Bennett. That's who fought in the second fight.
Well, now my thought. Wow.
I messed everything up.
If you could see me, I just did a full factory reset.
Yeah, I messed everything up, but I remembered the fight. That was the most important. So it was Matthew Tkachuk and Brendan Hagel, Brady Tkachuk and Sam Bennett, and then Colton Frank and JT Miller.
Yes.
Even though we were way.
Anyway, Fantastic Four. The trailer came out a few weeks ago. We did not have time to talk about it in our last episode because that was our Super Bowl preview, and it was a massive episode with a lot to talk about. But here we are. And man, oh man, am I excited.
Yeah, we got good news and bad news for our two topics, but we're going to lead off with the good news. And the trailer looked amazing.
Yeah, I love the aesthetic. They're going for a 60s or 70s vibe, and that's the time period in the movie. Obviously, a different universe, but that's the time period. It starts off with Reed Richards and Sue Storm looking or giving a tour to a reporter of the Baxter Building, the headquarters of the Fantastic Four. And Reed Richards explaining that they're a family and they have dinner once a week, every Sunday at 7 p.m. on the dot, no matter what. And they are Marvel's first family, so that is right out of the comics. But then we see the Thing for the first time, and he's pretty funny. And we see Herbie also for the first time, the animatronic or robot that Reed Richards builds for the Fantastic Four. He's cooking up a meal, and the Thing, says it tastes great, and then he's like, actually, I'm going to add a little bit of garlic, not because it's not good, but I just want a little flavor. Then it moves on to a bunch of different scenes. Sue Storm and Reed Richards are talking, and Reed Richards is explaining how she wasn't invisible before they went up in space, and Johnny didn't catch fire, and the thing wasn't a rock. Uh, so there's going to be some prequel aspect to it. I would imagine some flashbacks, but Kevin Feige already came out and said that this is not going to just be a retelling of their origin story. So I think that's a good move. And we also, for the first time in live action, see the proper Galactus. And he is comic book accurate this time, not just a cloud like in the Fantastic Four Rise of the Silver Surfer movie.
Yeah.
But it looks really good overall. I think there's still some missing pieces. The Silver Surfer is supposed to be in the movie, but we have not seen them yet. How does Doctor Doom get introduced? I personally think he's not even going to be in the movie except for maybe a post-credit scene. But how do they get to the 616 Earth? Like I don't know. There's a lot still left to uncover, but I think it looks really great and has a lot of potential, and I am very excited for it.
Cool. Sorry. No. That's not all I have to say. So, at the end, you remember at the end of the Marvels where is it Monica Rambeau?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, she's trying to like close that rip like in the time continuum,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she has to like go in, so
Yeah.
she goes to a different Earth,
Yeah.
right? Like a different universe, and we see
The X-Men.
Beast.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wonder, like, is the Fantastic Four and them in the same universe,
Yeah, they could be.
or are those both different? And
Yeah.
I've even heard like speculation that mutants have always existed on Earth 616, but they just haven't been shown.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they like gel that all together. Um, but it will be very interesting to see how this fits into the bigger picture. I just hope, like, on its own, that it's a great movie.
Yeah.
And when I saw Galactus towering over New York City, I was like, "Oh shit,
Comic book accurate.
this is bad."
Yeah, I'm excited. I think it will be good, but I am also now more nervous.
Why are you more nervous?
Well, we haven't seen it yet, but Captain America: Brave New World came out on Valentine's Day, and it's gotten mediocre feedback.
Yeah. So just from a quick Google search, Rotten Tomatoes has it right now at 49%, 4 out of 10 on Screen Rant, and 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb. For like the reviews, like personal reviews, as a 3.4 out of 5 stars. There's more 5-star reviews overall, but there's a lot of 1-star reviews, which is not good. Typically, the viewers were excited by the action sequences and praised the actors' performances, like Harrison Ford and Anthony Mackie. However, a lot of the audience found the storyline boring and the pacing too slow, making for an overall lackluster experience.
Which sucks.
Not a good start. Again, we have not seen it, and Shay and I have this thing where like we don't think the reviews obviously are super accurate, so they might not tell the whole story.
Correct.
But yeah, just on the surface, it's not a good look. Like what we discussed a few weeks ago, this is like this is the reset. Like this is the first impression that Marvel has to make to say like we're back and things have changed.
Yeah.
And looking at the reviews and on the surface, it's not looking good.
Yeah. If not even like this is a bad movie. Like I think uh thinking about it, I think it's worse if it's a mediocre movie because that means that they did try. It means two things. They did try and the fans and audience still didn't care for it, or they just stuck to the same old way and didn't change after their break last year. And here we are.
Yeah. I had this conversation with somebody yesterday. Um, Captain America, Steve Rogers, Captain America with Chris Evans, iconic. There will never be anything else like Steve Rogers.
Mhm.
So I think, again, have not seen the movie, so it could just be a bad movie. But I'm also gonna keep in mind while I'm watching the movie, and I think maybe a lot of people share this opinion or don't share this opinion. Um, Sam Wilson's Captain America is not going to be as good as Steve Rogers' Captain America. I think that's just the reality. A lot of people grew up with Steve Rogers, Captain America, so there's like that nostalgic factor, like
Yeah.
childhood.
Yeah.
So I think people need to separate the two. Like Sam Wilson, Steve Rogers, they're two different people, two different Captain Americas that both can still be good.
Agreed.
But it is up to Marvel, and again, the reviews don't show that. It is up to Marvel to utilize Sam Wilson's Captain America and not like copy and paste what they did with Steve Rogers.
Correct. Yeah.
And
I
and right now with the reviews, to me, it seems like that's what they did. It seems like they kind of copied and paste.
yeah, it's not what I wanted to see. I would have been okay with some people saying it's like a 7 out of 10. Like it's not a spectacular movie, which I don't think many people thought that. Like you were talking about during our break, that you didn't think it was going to be this amazing movie, but you thought it'd be a great movie or a good movie. Um,
Yeah.
but it's a little worrisome. Again, we haven't seen it, but I am now a little more nervous for the Fantastic Four and the future of Marvel as a whole, because as you said, this is not a good first impression for this new direction.
Yeah, and even going back to like the trailer for Captain America Brave New World, Sam Wilson's talking about how like people have infiltrated the inner circle, right? Of, you know, the US like politicians and the new president Thunderbolt Ross, he's telling him like, you know, there's some going on, but like, he's either not seeing it or he's part of the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
What movie reminds you of that exact same scenario?
Maybe another Captain America movie.
Which is
uh, the first Avenger.
yeah,
No, the Winter Soldier.
right. So it could just be exactly that. Like it could just be like a copy and paste
Yeah,
storyline of the Winter Soldier.
yeah.
Because as we all know, the Winter Soldier, at least in my opinion, is probably the best solo MCU
Excuse
film.
Howie. Sorry.
So so yeah, that's what it could be. And don't worry, we're gonna end soon here because the dog's getting restless. Um, but just that's kind of my take. Like even with the trailer, like it kind of sounded exactly like that, like the Winter Soldier. So hopefully, after watching the movie that they did do something different. But like we said, on the surface, it's not looking too great.
Exactly. And when we do watch the movie, we will, of course, give our review and opinions on how it goes. But again, a little nervous moving forward. But that will end our episode for this week. Again, we will have Jairus is going on vacay. Yeah,
Vacation.
boy. Little getaway. So we will not have an episode for the next 2 weeks after this week. But we will have a video coming out next week, which make sure you are anticipating. And thank you, as we've already talked about, this is a long episode, but thank you for sticking with us all the way through. Be sure to, hit that like button. Just touch
hit
it.
Just punch your screen.
hit hit that thumbs up button too. Why not? Like,
well, the like button is the thumbs
up. Wait, what?
But
also,
button next to it is the big red subscribe button.
Wait, isn't there a thumbs down button? Wait, don't click that one.
But yeah, if you enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe. We would really appreciate it. Our goal for this year, which I don't know if we talked about, we want to get to 100 subscribers. Yeah. Okay. We want to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year, which we think is achievable. So if you want to help us out, if you enjoyed the content, make sure to hit the subscribe button. It is greatly appreciated. And yeah, follow all of our socials. That'll be linked in the description as always.
Yeah.
We started to post more.
Yeah, on Facebook. That's Instagram. Our main one. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Jairus is going to 2 hockey games next week too, right?
Yeah. So if you follow the Instagram too, you'll get to see, what I'm doing there.
Yeah, Lightning games, of course. But we'll be sure to talk about that when we come back. We have baseball coming up. Spring training's about to start.
Baseball.
The Rays, even though they're going to suck.
Already reported.
Yeah. Baseball's coming back. It's obviously football off season. We'll be back into games with the NBA and the NHL. And NASCAR will still be going on, so there will be plenty to talk about when we come back after our 2-week break. So thank you so much for listening and being with us on this journey. And we will see you in the next video next week, but in the next episode in a few weeks.
On Tetakumbo.
No.
All right. With that, goodbye.